application. One that would utilize artificial intelligence and the social graph to get to know each user on an individual level. In order for this to work, artificial intelligence needs to be developed to the point that it can understand natural human language, and cable providers need to put themselves in position to gather the information users are putting out about themselves on social networks. Obviously, the largest feature of an application like this, we like to view it as a personal media assistant, something that can help the user sort through the unlimited amounts of content. So the way it might go about content recommendation is it could check the user's Facebook account and see that they've had a bad day. It could then check their calendar and see that they only have about an hour before they have to go to dinner. So based off of those criteria, it could decide to suggest a cheerful comedy, something that will cheer up the user and fit into the time space that is allowed. We are also creatures of habit. Some of us always watch news in the morning. And the personal media assistant would know that, and it would be able to have that streaming as soon as we wake up. Some of us are sports fanatics, and we never want to miss our team's play. The personal media assistant would know that, and it would be able to notify us whenever the game had started. A personalized experience saves the user time and money, or time and effort. The current advantage that live television has is that it brings so many people together at the same time. We are able to communicate through our social networks as things are happening live. The personal media assistant would be able to bring that level of coordination to streaming content. By allowing everyone's assistants to communicate with each other, they will be able to sync calendars and find mutual free time in order to schedule a shared viewing. Sharing the experience can become easy and just as asynchronous as our current culture likes it to be. What about in-person group sharing? Every member of a family is going to have different criteria for what they like about television. And so what is going to happen when they sit down together? Each of their assistants can communicate and find the common ground between them. There doesn't have to be a fight for the remote anymore. So we've talked about a few of the ways that it can help the consumer, but how can it make make some more money for the cable providers? And the answer to that is targeted ads. The same artificial intelligence that is getting to know their media preferences will also be getting to know their buying preferences. The current model involves showing the same commercials to all of the viewers of a program, even though that viewership is going to have a wide range of demographics and buying power. If I was to be shown a car commercial right now, it would be a waste of my time and their advertising dollars, because no matter what, I don't have the money to buy a car. But the personal media assistant would know that I don't have that kind of money, and maybe it'll suggest a advertisement for cheap pizza, and it could even bring up the pizza's website on my secondary screen so that I could order with one click. Under this new model, there is no reason for content to lose its value over time. Classic TV shows can still be paired with relevant ads. The value of ads just needs to be shifted from whether or not it was shown in prime time to whether or not it was shown to a prime demographic. Two technologies have been announced actually since we have submitted our video. They kind of follow along the lines of what we were talking about. Apple released on their iPhone the new Siri personal assistant. It understands natural human language and can do basic commands on the phone. And calling it a personal assistant in your pocket is not so different than our line of a personal media assistant. So we feel that that's kind of affirmation that's going the same way. And Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook is going to be integrating a new technology called Open Graph that makes it easier for Facebook developers to find out what people are doing inside the applications. Hulu and Spotify are already using this to get to know their users. This technology is clearly going to be a part of the future of TV, and the people that invest in it now will be the ones that take advantage of it the best.
Okay, so Judge, you have any questions?
Yeah.
I know that young people today don't necessarily hold their personal information as privately as maybe others do. But what kind of sources of information might the personal media assistant access to know that you don't have the money to buy a car?
The key to this will be granular privacy controls. We're starting to see this with Facebook and Google+, is there's just huge lists of things that users can check on and off. Personally, I am very free with my personal information, and I use a online thing called mint.com that tracks all of my financial data. If I chose to, I could link that to the personal media assistant, and it could access that information through a secure channel. But other people might not be comfortable with that, and they could shut that off. And so the same goes with all other social networks, website, blogs, search histories, just about anything that is on the internet about them can be used in this if they so choose. The key is to give control to the users, because then they feel comfortable sharing at their level.
So one other question, where do you monetize, make money on the personal media assistant is if the advertising is associated with the programming that people are selecting, where would you be making money?
It goes beyond selecting the advertisement based off of the programming. It's targeted to the individual user. I can fill out as much detailed information as I want, so commercials can be so targeted that they are as more effective than we've ever imagined before. Is going back to my pizza idea, is I can make it so specific that not only do I not want to see car ads, I don't want to see pizza ads that aren't from Pizza Hut, because I just love Pizza Hut pizza. And Pizza Hut knows that by showing me that ad, it is getting so much more value because I am a fan. I am much more likely to convert that advertisement into an action and actually go. So I believe that instead of this broad model, there's a lot of worry that if we switch away from a broadcast model, instead allow people to just view content on demand through, it can be on any device that they want. The fear is that the power of advertising will go away, and I think that is unfounded. I think it'll grow more powerful because we are no longer just broadcasting to the mass and hoping. We are targeting a specific individual who has wants, desires, and needs that you can fulfill through your company.
But is Pizza Hut paying the programmer that you've selected, to watch, the program, or are they paying the owner of the personal media assistant, not the user?
I would imagine they would actually be paying the cable company. I would guess that content providers would be licensing their content to a cable provider, who is then going to who holds all of this on the internet, who streams it to televisions, who gets it where it needs to go, and that the cable provider then can collect on the advertisement, sharing probably revenue with the program creator. So probably a split model.
God bless you.
I'm sitting here on power problems.
Domino's might want you to do more than Pizza Hut. But the question I've got is, I like the personal assistant idea. I get that, and you're very passionate about it. How vast is this library?
I think it should be unlimited. I think the cable companies are in a unique position that no other industry is in, and that they have ties with all of the content providers. Not to throw out the competitor, but Netflix right now people love it, but it does not have the prime content. It will not last as it is now because it does not have the newest video. It does not have everything we want. I don't think the user should have to think, well, is this available? I think they should know that if it's been produced, it's available somewhere.
Every show ever made in every language, kind of thing.
It sounds 20 years ago that would have been the largest dream in the world, but if we're looking 10 years into the future, there is no reason for that not to happen with the technology we have now, other than licensing rights. This is the only obstacle.
That's what
Just from an idealistic dreamer's point of view, it's so much smaller than it was 20 years ago.
Back 1 minute.
This is about technology.
I just we should talk about the set of interfaces that the personal assistant would have to understand. So one of the biggest problems, probably the biggest problem with being able to discover every single source of video content that was ever made is that there's no universal identifier to be able to actually link them. There's no interface to plug in and say, okay, here's how the title is expressed, here's how the length is expressed, here's how the producer. What are the set of interfaces the personal assistant would have to understand and be able to consume, and how does it exercise the method?
The personal media assistant would have, I'm thinking of this as all as one tied-in service provided by cable consumers. And so the service would be in the cloud, so it would be accessible from any device. And so the key would be to find the right model of control for each individual device. But similar to how Netflix on every video has a standard for where it displays actors, directors, is I think cable companies need to develop that kind of a database, that kind of a system that's so clean that users can find anything whenever they want on any device, and they should be able to control it using some of the things we talked about today, touchscreen, multi-device, or even just voice activation, just whatever the current UI is.
You ever heard of IDR?
I'm not.
EIDR?
I'm not.
So unfortunately,
That was the
thank you very much.